to Athletics LLC with Lamar, Lucious, Big League Chew, and my man Clyde. You're about to be schooled in all things track and field. This is experience. Yes, sir. We are talking past, present, future. Y'all listen up. Let's go.
Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome to another fun episode of Athletics LLC. Happy Professional Administrative Assistant Day, or Administrators Day, I'm sorry. So thank you to all of you who help us move things along out there. I just want to make sure we start out and say thank you for that. But as always, I'm joined by three lovely tiles this evening. Clyde, how are you tonight, sir?
I'm good, and I did not know that day existed, so.
You know, Google's a wonderful thing. I thought I'd Google that today. Lamar, 2 shots to save the world Huffins. How we doing?
We've been vaccinated.
Thank you, sir. And last but definitely not least, Sir Lucious.
I am well. I survived my second shot from a week or so ago. So I'm good. I'm not tired any longer. So I'm on the downside now. I'm good.
I'm in the front seat of the struggle bus.
I know. I can hear it in my voice. And oh, yuck. But alas, we are all here joined again on these 4 lovely tiles to talk about a little bit of track and field and some other crazy things going on in the world right now. But as always, we'll start with dun dun dun, track is back. That's the only time you'll get that.
That's good.
I think we can live with that being the only time we'll get.
Yes, you're welcome.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Merry Christmas.
Happy New Year.
Right.
Merry New Year.
Oh my Gina.
And
So, just a few things happened over the weekend, just pretty big things, but what stuck out to you all the most? What's our first event?
Wow. Me first.
Go first.
I'm only gonna pick one. I promise I'm only gonna pick one.
You pick as many as you want.
No.
There's so many phenomenal things that happen. Yeah.
Listen, when you get to see somebody great grow into their greatness and they start doing those like unicorn things, it's just fun, right? Like we got to see it with Grant and others before him. And listen, Sydney is no longer Sid the Kid. And 1292 plus 45 minutes and 51 and some change. Yeah.
I mean, I think that that mark is surprising for some people, the 1292. But if you go back and look at her high school marks, and then you realize who she's being coached by now, you knew it was coming. And I think that if you go back and look at the indoor meet where she looked awful in the 60 hurdles, but then you go back and you read that she used her off leg.
Right.
Again, the genius of Bobby Kersey, right? So, phenomenal performance by Sydney. It wasn't just that she ran 1292, it was the ease and the technical efficiency in which she did it. And kudos to Sid and kudos to my man Bobby Kersey. As you like to call him, Lamar, BK is at it again.
BK is at it again.
Do we think BK is at it again in this? We know Bobby likes to think outside the box. We know Bobby likes to shock and awe. We know Bobby likes to piss people off. Do we feel that Sid is potentially prepping for a hurdle double?
I mean, at 1292, no.
No, right, not 1292, but
yeah. So like let's not put that cart before that horse. And now that's that same tree and limb that I'm not walking out on, right? I'm going out there with you. I will say this: I think Bobby has always been of the opinion that you can be a better 400 hurdler when you can short hurdle, and I think that's what he's proven with Sid. I mean, we've all had the opinion that the reason Dalila beats Sid is because Dalila's a better hurdler.
100%.
Bobby's, trying to even the playing field, so to speak. And so I think what we're all waiting for is the counterpunch by my man Boogie Johnson and Dalila to see what the counterpunch is. But again, much anticipated race. We both can't wait to see. I'm gonna tell you, I was super impressed. I forget what Fred Curley ran here in the 200, but I'm gonna tell you that the most impressive part of it was he was average on the turn, and it was pouring rain. I think it was purposely careful on the turn, but his straightaway and his finish was absolutely phenomenal. And he is trained down in South Florida with Joey Scott, and Joey and here just that they great job. In that same 200-meter thing, Miss Richardson was pretty impressive. I mean, 22:11 in the pouring rain. Again, she ran the turn. There was at least 3 people that clocked her hand time around the turn between 10:8 and 10:8 mid. So just absolute clinic she put on in that race. Absolute clinic.
So
there's a lot of meat left on that bone, Clyde. Go right after it.
Oh no, listen, I'm going straight. I want to get the mark right, but my phone is not cooperating with me. So maybe Chu can help me out. I want to go straight homer off the bat. Major props to Cameron Rogers, UC Berkeley, and her coach Mo Satara. We split the squad, and Cam and the crew were up at the West Coast Classic Oregon version. Cam set a huge lifetime best. She reset the Cal School record, #1 in the nation, got her A standard for the Olympics, and I feel like broke the Canadian U23 record in the event.
So she already had the Canadian U23 record and she broke it. She's got to be really close to the Canadian overall record. I don't know if she's got it yet, but she's really close.
Well, either way, it obviously a phenomenal performance and something we are all very geeked up about on this campus. Listen, man, Cam's amazing. Like, I don't coach the girl, but I watch her grind it out every single day, and she puts in an exorbitant amount of work, and just to see it pay off is amazing. And she's phenomenal. Yes, sir.
Can we get an event in the mark?
So,
women's hammer. Sorry,
the hammer throw. Women's hammer. My bad. Women's hammer.
I mean, you went on.
Deliver me the mark.
Wow.
Because my phone is definitely not cooperating with me.
So she threw 73.09.
Yes.
On Saturday.
73.09. And something about the new technology up at the cathedral, when you look at the live results on Athletic Live, you can watch from the field events, any result on the chart, you can hit the button and see the performance right then and there, which is dope. And I think everybody should adopt this. I don't know how they did it, but in the field events,
you can do what now?
So let's say you pull up the results, you pull up the meet results right now. You go pull up the women's hammer, open the results, and Cam's performance is right there. Next to the performance, you hit the button and you can see the throw.
Oh, so you think everybody has that kind of money?
That
would be a negative.
I don't know how he did it, but get it done.
Well, you know how they did it. They got more money than the rest of us. So.
Y'all got somebody like that. I want to see all the jumps from Gatorville.
I'll use some jump videos. They're coming your way, but it won't be like that. You won't be able to push some little button and see them. That's for sure.
And you could do it. And this happened in live time. So like I didn't have to wait, 2 days later for Mo to show us the video. Like, it was dope. But props to Cam and Mo, phenomenal job. And that I'm starting off on the homer side.
So she's #3 all-time NCAA. She's reset the Cal record. She now has the Canadian U23 record and the qualifying standard.
Oh, so I did get that right. Okay, cool.
The A standard is huge, though. That's huge.
That's the big deal. Like, that's what they've been pursuing, and that is the big news out of that.
Well, because Canada's got the funkiest qualifying rigmarole probably of any country in the world. So it was big for her to throw the A standard before the season's over and before she gets to the trials, because like they do stuff where like you got to throw the A standard twice, or you got to throw it in one of these 3 meets, or it's bizarre and always has been.
Yes, it was a big hurdle to clear for her future.
And I want to give a shout out. Then this comes from the Tom Jones competition. First of all, I'm gonna give a shout out to Dennis Mitchell, because his crew came in here, and Sha'Carri was wonderful. The ageless wonder Justin Gatlin, running 998 legal, pointing to the scoreboard. I don't know what that was about. There was apparently a little trash talking going on, and I guess he decided to let him know who the boss was. I think the DeGrasse was impressive, second at 999. Mr. Ben Divick ran 1003, and that's another one of Dennis's guys, and that was really impressive. Kaylin Whitney, who people have forgotten about, was 5104 this time, chasing Jessica Beard to the line in the 400. And talk about another guy that's doing a phenomenal job, Gary Evans. He coaches Jessica, who ran 51 flat. My man Stevie was 44 and some change in the 400, and then the absolute performance of the meet was Jasmine Camacho Quinn at 12:32.
Oh yeah, ain't no doubt about that.
And can't push a button and let you see that video, but I wish I could. I'm talking, it was smooth, it was seamless, and I'm also give props to the O'Philly sisters, who are both, I think there's Porter and Semper now, but they just charging down the track. And Tiffany was absolutely on one, and she kind of got off balance a little bit. I think it was a hurdle 7 or 8, but there's another great performances by that crew. But I wanted to give a shout out to my man Dennis Mitchell. He's really, really doing a good job there.
I mean, I agree that Camacho Quinn was the story of over like the best thing in the meet. But you know what? Listen, the reemergence of Tiffany O'Feely, aka Tiffany
Porter,
is, I think it's a big deal. I think it's an important story, because people forget, like, both of the sisters, like, they run for Great Britain. So if all of a sudden Great Britain has not one but 2 people who are going to potentially be a problem in the Olympic final, it just makes things so much more interesting in the event. Like, the Americans are always a problem. You got Danielle out there. You always have the Euro 1 or 2 people coming through. But now, with those 2 being back in the mix,
and again, just a little bit of a homer shout out, but shout out to my fraternity brother Jeff Porter, who coaches both of them. So,
for sure,
doing a phenomenal job right there.
Now we would obviously be remiss not to gather maybe the biggest collegiate news of the weekend from down in Texas. We all knew it was coming. We all knew it was coming, but it's still ridiculous. 157.73, a thing mode. It's just abusive what she's doing to people.
Yeah, it is.
But it's fun to watch, man.
Did you watch the video? She didn't get to split the race.
Right.
Yeah. She came through in like 59.9. Wasn't so when you go to the video, I'm excited. You got her and the girl from Baylor. You just know they went out in 55, right? Nah. They're just saying the Baylor girl ran 2 flat and she ran it even.
Right. Mm-hmm. And got lit up. You're supposed to feel really good about running 2 flat in the middle of the season on your home track, even splitting your race. Like, that's a hell of a performance. You lost by 3 seconds.
If you run 157 a negative split, and far be it from me to steal the thunder of the guy on this panel that coaches the 8, but I gotta believe you're thinking 155 lowish.
Oh, there's no doubt.
154 highish.
And it was so easy.
Yeah,
that was the thing. You talk about that. There was a pretty good 800 here in Gainesville. I mean, you had 2 girls run 201 low, another young lady run 202, and then another girl, I think the 4th place was 203.
Oh, and right.
Then 20 minutes later, you're like, oh, over in Texas.
Right.
So they really ran the 800 over there.
Right. So to put a qualifier on that, as we sit here tonight, the top 5 performances in the country, 4 of them were done this past weekend. Tom Jones, 201.45. Tom Jones, 201.36. Michael Johnson, 2 flat 87. And then 157.73.
Right.
like
Yeah.
come on. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and you know, look, let's be frank, y'all. Like, yes, we all knew this was coming, but I think what's crazier to all of us, at least I think, is that we also know that the plan for this young lady is to run at her best in July in the games, right? So this literally is just what's in her, right? There's no peak to this. There's no prep to this. It's like, all right, look, we need you to go ahead and run your opening outdoor 8. Let's get a mark, and then let's go back and train type deal.
Because if she was trying to run fast, she'd have went out a lot faster.
Exactly.
Right.
And they probably were working on the second half of the race.
If you're my man Derek, and who's got the great crew up in the East Coast, and she's from up there, so they know her well. Like, how do you combat that? Like, if you're an American 800 meter girl, how do you combat that? Well, let's take her out in 55. That's going to hurt you. It's not going to hurt her. You know, she ran 50 seconds indoors. You know, so let's sit and kick. Okay, she's going to do that with the best of them. So it just comes down to if she is race ready and mentally strong, like that is a huge problem for everybody concerned. Yeah, and again, shout out to my man Milton Mallard for the job he's doing with her, because he continues to be ultra impressive. And you know, speaking of impressive, you know, one I want to give a back shout out to something we missed somehow, but you know, there were some concerns about whether Mr. Micah, I can't think of his last name, will be able to run the 60 meter champion from indoors. If he'll be able to run 100. Well, Michael ran 20:57 last week, so I think he'll be okay, right? But then there is a storm brewing in Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Yeah.
Hey,
wow.
I'm waiting on this.
Terrence Laird, 10:06, and he posted something on one of his Instagram stories of him doing an acceleration workout. Must have been about a 90, and you knew it was coming. But then from what everybody tells me, I haven't seen the video of this, they said that the 10:06 was impressive, but they say that his relay leg running down Houston was just sick. And I haven't seen it yet, but
I haven't seen it. I've been trying to locate.
I haven't found it either, but again, if I'm giving props to coaching out there, you know, Dennis Shaver's getting it done. He's doing a phenomenal job. And talking about the 100 meters, Mr. Vaughn from FSU shot her around the collegiate world, 994. Yeah. And again, that was one of those, if you blinked, you missed it. Because, you know, he got to about 40 meters and just stood up and took off. And I think 10:25 was second in the race. He just curb stomped that field. And shout out to Ricky Argo for what he's doing with that guy.
Getting back to the news out of Baton Rouge, there was a shot fired in the women's 200. Favor Ophelia.
Miss Favor Ophelia, yes, 22:30, yeah.
That's not a game. 22:30.
And it was slightly wind dated at 22 with 2.7, but
whatever.
That's not a hurricane. So once again, this is why I'm gonna stand in that tree, but I don't know what limb I'm going out on yet. Because that one, you know, she's another one. You know, again, props to Dennis. You know, and just you think you talked about the women's 800. There's 8 women under 203 already. Yeah. That's very impressive.
And from it may not be our favorite event. It's one of mine. Same week, you know, Damian Thomas dropped his 13:22. I forgot if it was wind legal or not from the Texas relays, but I was really, really impressed with Trey Cunningham, 13:28.
It was very impressive.
That is that kid stepping into a place where a lot of people have questioned whether or not he can go, and he did, and he did it early in the season. So to me, I don't know the kid at all, never met him, never spoke to him, but if he's doing stuff like that mid-April, I'd imagine that it's only going to put him in a place not of just competence, but of competence that he's going to need to finally bust through and do what everybody's been waiting on him to do. So that,
Yeah, I think
that
the
was crazy.
caveat to that is the fact that who he was chasing when he did it,
Sure.
you know,
Absolutely.
and if he can stand up to that pressure, he should be able to stand up to anything. And
Exactly.
Damian Thomas's win was 1.3, so it was legal.
There you go.
It was legal.
I want to jump out to the field events because, you know, in a week like this craziness, it's easy for any and everything to get overlooked. But, you know, Turner Washington is a shot putter. If you let the internet tell it, and he's the collegiate record holder in the shot, and all that other wonderful stuff. And I know his coach pretty well, and he tells me, yeah, Turner's been having a little bit of issues, you know, managing both spins because they're a little different, yada, yada, yada. We'll see how the disc goes this weekend. I said, Brian, sell that to somebody who doesn't know any better. He's like, yeah. I said, okay. So then I get alerts for ASU stuff. And I see this, I get an alert, and then I get a text from him with a video, and Turner Washington threw 66-26 this weekend. I need people to understand, like, I know not everybody gets all the throw stuff, but like his 21-85, 66-26 PRs so far this season, given everything that we've seen happen so far this year collegiately, the only person who has a better set of PRs is the Thing Mo.
Yeah.
Because her 416, 157 is like not on this planet. But for all the other superheroes and mere mortals, because I'm not sure what a Thing Mo is. She's like Captain Marvel or something. But 66 meters and 21-85 those aren't fathomable for collegians. And for it to be the same collegian who has years of eligibility left, and from his coach's perspective is, and I quote, still figuring it out. I mean, I had to ask him. I was like, is he going to be the next 70-70 guy? And he goes, yeah, I'm pretty sure.
He's rare.
That's very impressive.
And I mean, 70 meters and 70 feet is, you're not in rarefied air. That's when you're like, you know, Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, we were throwing out west this past weekend. I mean, you got Turner, you got Cam. I'm gonna butcher this lady's last name, so I'm not even gonna try. But Samantha from Arizona put up 18, 17 in the women's shot. I mean,
yeah.
The throw. If you're a fan of the throws, you need to get online and look up the results from the West Coast Classic in Oregon, and you can watch every throw. Okay, like they're all there.
Right. So it's a nice little throws clinic.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So we're here at the Tom Jones, and all of a sudden I'm down at the other end of the track, and all of a sudden I just see this crowd of people around the hammer cage, and then I realize Mardell's about to throw. So of course I missed it. By the time I got there, it was done. It was 76 meters or some change. So I'm like,
18, 76, yeah. 18.
And I was like, yeah, can you wait for me to get down here next time? No, I always miss your big. So he just laughs at me. But that was a huge throw by Thomas. He's doing good. And I also, I want to give a shout out to, they're just starting to get rolling outdoors. The Miami, Ohio distance crew was phenomenal indoors. And they got Young Man Run Fast 8 this weekend, and I imagine the rest of them coming fast right behind it. Also, we missed one last week. I don't know how we missed this, but Zach Bradford from Kansas jumped 19 feet 3/4 inch on the 10th of April. I don't know how we missed that.
We totally missed.
Yeah. Why are these dudes jumping 580 like it's 480?
Yeah. We were talking about the other guy going pro, and he said, "Okay, no problem. I got something for you. I'll step in."
Right. I'll take his spot. No worries.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, if you include Casey, there's 5 collegians that have jumped 580 this year.
That's crazy,
bro. That's insanity.
And I'm gonna have to go Homer one more time because I watch it every day. The AARP crew had a hell of a time in Gainesville.
You just beat me to that when I was going there
Oh,
next.
you go, because I don't like doing.
Oh no, see, I witnessed this, and like so.
Yeah, you were there. I didn't get.
Yeah, Tiana jumped a little over 21 feet. The long jump, people go, okay, big deal. Oh, that was in the middle of a rainstorm. Like I don't even know how. Like that. There's no way they saw the board. No way. You know, it was crazy. And then the 100,
our best jump.
I'm gonna say this in a loving way. The AARP showed up in her reaction time in the 100 because she didn't react well to the cut at all. But boy, from 30 to 100, she looked like Tiana B again. It was really impressive. And I don't know that I've seen her smile that much when she looked up there and saw her tongue, But if she reacts to that gun and excels the first 30 to where we know she can, it's gonna come. Like it's gonna be great. But it was great to see her not only competing well, but being happy while she was doing it. That was really nice to see. And it wasn't just me that noticed it. A lot of people were like, man, it's good to see Tiana happy and smiling and looking like Tiana. So for those of you who wrote her off, yeah, you better get that eraser out, baby.
Ooh, buddy.
Better get that eraser out. Yeah.
Because we all know she keeps receipts.
Yes, she does.
That's my spirit. That's my spirit animal. That's what we do.
As she should.
That's what we do. We keep receipts.
Yeah, so that was extremely impressive to see.
Much like we did last week, and obviously right now the global news about the women's 100 is rightfully with Sha'Carri Richardson because 1072 is 1072. But as we did last week, looking forward to next week, USATF has 2 Grand Prix meets coming up, one at Drake and one in Oregon. And Sha'Carri notwithstanding, because she's not on the start list. Can you read that start list for the women's 100-meter dash at the Cathedral for the gold meet this weekend?
Do they know that we've renamed that place? When are they going to put that up in quotes? Like,
well, hold on a second. That we've renamed that place, or that he's renamed that place?
I'm sorry. Clyde has renamed.
Yeah, don't be trying to take that man's shine now. He
when they put it on a billboard somewhere, or make some money off a hashtag, I want my cut.
You better trademark it.
I was in conversation with someone this weekend and we were talking about Oregon and I was like, what is that place called again? Like I was thinking, like, what is the real name? Because I kept saying the Cathedral and they didn't know what I was talking about. I was like, Oregon, And they're like, Hayward Field? I was like, yeah, sure, we'll go with that. We've got Muriel Orhe. Sorry. Akinason, Tiana, Shania Collins.
Yeah.
Miss Cunliffe, Tiana Daniels, Allison Felix, Candace Hill, Daryl Nieta, Kemba Nelson from Oregon, Blessing Okabare, Kiara Parker, Jenna Prandini, Kayla White, I always say it wrong, Christiana.
Yeah.
Williams, and then Brianna Williams.
Hey, listen, it's gonna be some running going down out west this weekend.
Minus the LSU crew, that's like that's the USA semis.
Yeah, like
take Allison out because she won't be in that event. But other than that, pretty much that's the group that's gonna.
You don't think Allison's gonna be in that?
I'm about to say.
Yeah, I mean you're right because she could. Do
when are we gonna learn not to try to figure out Bobby Kirsten?
I mean, you know what? Amen to that. Because listen, if I was gonna give BK another nickname, but I would probably have to throw hands when he saw me if I did it. But I would definitely call him the Mad Hatter, because that cat, he'll do it all.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, everybody knows Gail Devers' PBs, except for the fact that nobody knows she's run under 210 in the 8 in a meet.
Yeah.
Because that's what Bobby does.
Always has a plan. Always.
I heard talk about that one time. I was like, wait, what? What?
No.
What?
Oh no, the original plan for Gail was to run the 400 hurdles. And Gail did, like, if you go back and look, Gail's last year in college, I think she did 8 events at the Pac-10 meet.
I remember something crazy like that.
And she didn't do the HEP.
Long jump, triple jump.
Yeah.
Hurdles. Yeah, it was just crazy. Relays. She was all over the place.
Yeah, she ran.
We're talking about a little bit about comeback stories. Very quietly, Carol Smith Gilbert has gotten Candace Hill to be close to being very relevant again.
No, and that like there's so much contextual intrigue to this 100-meter race this weekend. Like there's a bunch of different scenarios that are really, really interesting. Like it's a semifinal final. So, you know, we're gonna get a lot of answers to a lot of things at the place where we're gonna have the trials. And with 90% of the people who are gonna be relevant at that time going head to head for the first time. So it's interesting. I'm definitely excited to go see that.
Yeah.
I feel like
Can I just
we're missing. I can't think
go
of it.
ahead? Go ahead.
No, I feel like there's something that happened that we're missing, but I don't know what it is.
Oh no, we're not done, I don't think. But I wanted to stick this in because this actually was said in a conversation between Sir Lucious and I. Like track and field has done such a horrible job of like selling itself short, because if you look at the product that is already on the field, like, you know, coming out of a pandemic, like everybody else, right? Like everybody else is dealing with growing pains and such coming out of the pandemic. And track is not only like hasn't missed a beat, like this might, I mean, let's just like up to April, this might be the best like collegiate track season like ever.
Oh, the marks say so.
Right. And I'm just saying, like, the product never fails. It never fails. And I don't know how, because that's not my job, but somehow somebody has to get the right people to pay attention to what's going on, to understand, like, listen, this is a product that you bet on. You know, if somebody offered you some Amazon stock at this point, you're like, yeah, because it ain't going nowhere, right? That's what AT&T stock was when I was a kid, right? Of course you buy stock in the telephone company because it's not going anywhere. Well, trust and believe, track and field stock at this point in time is like, take all your money and invest in that. Because, I mean, we're coming out of a pandemic and you would never know it based on these results. Never. You would never know that anybody had like strained training situations, because the marks don't say that at all.
Well, you know what? That's a perfect place for Chu to go to our next topic.
So, as noted before and widely talked about at this point, the NCAA has decided to go from 48 qualifying spots to 32 at each preliminary site. And at this point, to date, literally to the minute, we're at an uproar. A number of coaches, Clyde included, have made public statements as to why this should not be a thing. There's the hashtag reinstate 48 that's circulating right now, specifically on Twitter, but definitely on other social media platforms. If I'm not mistaken, Justin Herbert is responsible for it. If not, he's been a very loud squeaky wheel as to using it. I think he's on like day 30 plus, 32-ish plus of using it every day. So, you know, kudos to him for being an advocate, being very headstrong and very adamant as to getting heard. But you know what, coming out of the pandemic, them using COVID as the reasoning of the cut, you know, what are thoughts? What are we thinking? You know, things of that nature.
Can we just rewind what Lamar was talking about 30 seconds ago? Because that's the point. That's the point. These kids, and to hell with it, the coaches too. These kids and these coaches have endured insane, you know, adversity, and somehow right now are putting together the best NCAA track season that we've ever seen by the numbers. We don't know how it's going to end, but right now the numbers say it's the best ever. And what are we going to do with that? We're going to make sure that less people get an opportunity to go to nationals. That's what we're going to do with it. And why? Because of COVID? Not really. Because we can have a full football season, you know, contact sports and all of that. We got the full basketball season. We got Super 68 in the NCAA tournament, but you know, we need to reduce the outdoor track numbers because of safety. That doesn't ring true to me, and I don't think it rings true for a lot of people. I sent a tweet out today. Apparently, people liked it. I got some pushback on the tweet. One person tried to give me a breakdown about how the real issue is that it's gonna be too much testing to get everybody through at regionals. And honestly, it was a decent point that he made. But the repetitive tweet that he put together, that sounded like a money issue to me. I don't want to hear it's too expensive to test 48 versus 32. That's ridiculous. They got their money. Football went through. March Madness happened. The NCAA got their money. They can afford the test. So, you know, reinstate the 48 and let everybody go bang it out and find out who the best in the country is, and let these people who are limited in their opportunities. Like, not everybody lives in a conference where their conference can just choose to go run races in Florida and choose to occupy a track in Texas to go get their marks off. Like, everybody can't do that. So let's do the 48 and let everybody go race.
Okay, so I'm going to chime in here. I'm going to try to be as brief as I can. I don't know. See, here's my thing. Either you're on one side of the fence or the other. So we rewind this video back to 54 weeks ago. We shouldn't be playing sports at all because of COVID. Rewind this video back 50 weeks ago. We shouldn't be playing sports at all because of COVID. So decisions were made so that we could have a season. Okay. Mm-hmm. So everybody wants to say it's not because of COVID. Of course it's because of COVID. Because what the people that are running their mouths don't know is that this decision about the 48 to 32 was based on what the presidents wanted. The university president said, give us a way to safely run track and field. Okay. So we get somebody on a SAC committee that starts making noise and starts producing a hashtag. And it's cute. It's very cute. But at some point in time, we have to make sure we understand we have to make sacrifices to get through a pandemic to make people safe. So the soccer field was reduced by 25%, as was volleyball. There was no hashtag to save them. Those same schools that you talk about were punished in those areas as they were here. So at the end of the day, if it's a NCAA medical board decision, it's not based on money. Now, yes, it's going to cost more to test people, okay? But unless I'm mistaken, this is still not over. And you're talking about putting another 15 to 600 more people into a place, into cities, into hotels. So maybe before we start complaining about the little guy getting screwed here, because the little guy can't go here and there. First of all, I didn't tell Joe to go coach where he coaches at, okay? People, you deal with a hand that you dealt. You play that hand, okay? We're talking about 1 year. And if we're talking about safety, which is what I know you were screaming to me 54 weeks ago. So I want you to scream it to me now, and let's stay safe, and let's deal the hand we were dealt. And a year from now, I'm on your side a year from now. Okay, there's no way we stay at 32. You got to go back to 48, because I personally believe that a big part of the reason why people are performing so well, because they know it's tougher to get there. So they're working harder because they know they can only get 32 get there. I don't buy into the little guy can't go this, because go look, we had a team here this weekend at the Tom Jones in Coastal Carolina, and they came down here and stuck their nose in here and they got it done. That's one of those little schools you said can't travel to Florida. They were here.
Oh, they can.
Exactly. And there's other schools that can as well. Okay. So instead of making excuses, let's make a way. And let's understand this, because instead of us saying they don't care about track and field, they cared enough to give us an avenue to have the championships. Because they very clearly could have said, we'll just not run track for a year. That would have been the easiest way out. So they gave us an avenue. Let's take the avenue and go on about our business, because I have no desire to put my team in danger because we're letting more people into the championships because somebody started a hashtag.
That is a very well articulated argument. Can I?
And the other thing I want to tell you is to stop comparing it to football and basketball. Okay, because football has 11 people per, basketball has, there's 10 people on the freaking court. You can't compare a 5,000 meter race where you're going to put, okay, so in the 10,000, we're going to put 40 people on the track at the same time.
Sir.
Okay. No, I'm just saying. Okay.
That's fine. I would like to address the points that you made because you're clearly talking to me. Okay.
And the other thing too is that it's just going to it's going to save about quite a few hours with the track meet too, about 2.5 hours a day, 2.5, 3 hours a day.
You keep adding stuff. I'm not trying to hit all the balls. So
no, go ahead. I'm just saying. So I'm done. I'm sure you got some whimsical nonsense for me, and I'll listen to it.
Okay. So let's address the other sports that you brought up. In case I'm tripping. Last collegiate season, volleyball got their whole season done, right? And soccer got their whole season done, right? So the sacrifices that were made for those sports this year because of the pandemic were the first time that they had to suffer any hits within COVID things. And I get that. You said what they could have decided was to not have a track season at all. Well, actually, they did that already. They did that last year. That happened.
No, they did not. The world stopped the track season last year. That is totally unfair.
Sir, let me finish.
Okay, I will let you finish if you stop spouting nonsense.
I'm not spouting nonsense.
You are, because the NCAA did not stop the track season.
Sir, the pandemic stopped the track season.
Didn't say that.
Understand that.
Then we're good.
I've said
that. What you said a minute ago. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Can I go ahead?
Hey, look, don't start with me tonight. Go ahead. I'm listening.
Sir, I've said that from the beginning, and I am on the team of follow the science and do what is necessary. So I had no problem with the fact that the track season got shut down last year. Disappointed as I was, I didn't have a problem that the indoor championship got canceled on site while people were in the building. All that made perfect sense. But we missed the season last year. That already happened. Okay? So if the powers that be took the science of COVID and found a way to make sure other sports never missed any time because they had their seasons, and found a way to move forward. We're a year forward from where we were. I'm all about, being careful with the pandemic and protecting people and people being safe. We have whole states right now wholeheartedly ignoring COVID at this point. We have vaccines going out at unbelievable numbers. The plans are working. People are getting their vaccines done. The color-coded mandates in all the states are going down. And if we can have full-scale track and field in the regular season all throughout the country, it doesn't make any sense that we shouldn't readjust, reevaluate where we are today and look at it moving forward. That is following the science. That is addressing the issue where it is. Now you said,
I need it.
You said there's no way we go back. There's no way we don't go back to 48 next year.
I didn't say that. It's not what I said.
You didn't? Wait a minute. You didn't
Nope.
say, you didn't say that you're with me next year and there's no way we shouldn't go back. You didn't say that.
You said, okay,
That's not what you just said.
right.
Okay.
When you just said it, you didn't put the word shouldn't in there. So,
Okay. You are saying that next year we should and will go back to 48.
No, I didn't say that.
I'm asking you, are you saying that we should or are you saying that we will?
I said that we should.
Okay. And my point is, on that note, that it's the ultimate Pandora's box, because there are powers that be that have been trying to reduce the footprint of regionals for years. And we all know that to be true. So if we allow it to happen now and it goes off and it's a success, and it will be, there will be people that say, hey, we had to do this because of COVID, but look how successful it was. This is better. We shouldn't go back to the 48. If you open that door, there's going to be a whole bunch of people trying to hold it open and kick it in. And I don't see any scientific reason, any COVID reason, given where the pandemic is now, given where the CDC, like, we've always been the lowest risk sport. I mean, that's the mandate. So when you say don't compare it to football and basketball, I ain't the one comparing it. The CDC is. The guidelines are. Those sports are higher risk for infection and disease and death and all those things. That's what they say. So if we're lower risk, then why do we need to have this cut now? I understand if it was planned last summer that we should do it and that was the path, cool, I'm with that. But new information needs to be reevaluated. We have new information. It's a new reality. They should be reconsidering it. And as I understand it, you correct me if I'm wrong, that's exactly why the hashtag has taken off so quickly, because they are reconsidering. Are they not?
Okay. First of all, I don't know who they is, because they are not reconsidering it. They're not. Okay. But I will say this to you, and I'm gonna again try to be as short as I can here. One is, I'm gonna keep saying this, we gotta take one side of this deal or another. And the people who are screaming from the rooftops are the people who are afraid they can't make the top 32. That's all this is. That's all it is.
I'm not one of those people.
I didn't say you are. Okay, but the people that are screaming from the rooftops are the same people that want to give ribbons to everybody for every place in a competition. Okay.
No, I'm saying that's
at the end of the day, okay, a decision was made, and then all of a sudden it's crunch time. Does anybody notice that, like, this hashtag just happened to pop up when they saw how hard it was going to be to make the 32? Okay. So again, my opinion. Okay. So let me be clear. We were giving a path to what they thought was a successful way to have track and field meets this year by the NCAA medical board. This wasn't a decision that a competition committee made. This wasn't a decision that a group of coaches made. The medical committee made that decision. Okay. Now, if the medical committee looked out there and said, hey, maybe we should reconsider this. If it came from the medical committee that maybe that it was safer, but when it's coming from a group of people because they want to be participants, because they don't think they're going to have a chance. So for me, I'm going to make the 1-year sacrifice. I want to continue to make sure we're safe. And I want those same people that were screaming from the top of the rooftops, we shouldn't be playing sports, shouldn't be doing this, to stay on the damn rooftop. Keep screaming it. And in a year from now, when everything is supposed to be, we don't have to worry about this anymore, everything's fine, then let's go back to normal. We got to stop using football and basketball and other sports. They have nothing to do with us. Okay, because if they didn't care, and you talk about these people that would love to see this stay at 32. And I've said this to you before, they were never going to win that argument, and they're not going to win it now, because the NCAA, when it comes down to it, is about participation. They scream from the rooftops how big their numbers are. And if you take away that many people, that crushes them. So it's going to go back to 48 as soon as the medical people say it's safe to. And if you want to convince people to go back this year, you better start with the medical board, and then hope that the presidents agree with it, because starting a hashtag is not, no. And again, I'm all for participation, but just the timing of this hashtag, when we see, oh my God, it's going to be tough to get into the meet. It's kind of weak to me.
Lamar, go ahead.
One thing I do want to say to you too, that was totally wrong. I don't know where these full-scale track and field meets are happening all over the place, because full-scale track and field is not happening anywhere in this country, not based on the way we used to do it. Nowhere. And if it is, I haven't seen it anywhere.
I'm going to commit a show first. I got nothing. What's our next topic, Chew?
Oh, what? No, hell no. What was you raising your hand about?
Well, I had something to say 25 minutes ago, but you two have hashed it out. You two have hashed it out. I don't need, I've never been one of those people for redundancy, right? Like, at the end of the day, all I have to say is the decision was made when it was made, and it was the right decision. If at this point in time it is not the right decision, then the people who made the decision, it's their job to go into a room and decide whether a revision should or should not happen. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to vilify the people who made the decision, because when they made it, they made the right decision and we were all in agreement. So,
But I think we would agree with that.
And so that's all I'm saying. That's why I said I have nothing else to say. Like, I really don't have anything to add to this, because my arguments and the things I would have stuck into the conversation have been hashed out. I wasn't taking a coward's way. Just, I don't want to waste nobody's time.
Then I want to ask you a question. I guess Lucious is free to answer it as well. Do you believe, given the new medical realities, given the new information, given the improvements in the way the pandemic has been handled across the country, do you feel that they should reevaluate the situation?
So I'm going to give you an answer you're not going to like.
That's a surprise.
And I know this, right? I don't think so. And I'm going to tell you why. Track and field people are notoriously, no pun intended, one-track minded. We all want to talk about how
Very much a pun intended, by the way.
Absolutely.
Right.
We all want to talk about how, basketball got to play, right? Nobody wants to talk about the ridiculous sacrifice that basketball made in order to play, right? Like, let's deal with the reality. Gonzaga, all four teams that were in the Final Four, they were in Indianapolis for a month in a bubble. Mm-hmm. Ain't nobody in track willing to do that. Sir, I don't mean a singular. Okay. I'm talking about, right. And at the end of the day, knowing that the unruly numbers of 200 plus schools are never going to agree to any sort of bubbling, right? They're just not, right? And not just that, they might say they are, but let's be honest. We know that 48 teams full of people, some teams have 2, some people have 25 or 35, right? But 48 teams full of people is an untenable situation to bubble, because that's basically 2 NCAA tournaments, right? And so I don't think going from 48 to 32 is out of bounds, given the fact that we have some progress towards eliminating super spreaders, right? Like, do I think it's unfair? Yeah, but at the end of the day, like, the virus has been unfair. Like, it's really, who's it really unfair to? All the really, really bright kids that thought it was a good idea to follow their academic dreams and go to Ivy League schools, but they still had an athletic itch to scratch. So now they haven't competed for 2 seasons because the Ivy Leagues are not doing sports, right? So at the end of the day, like, I'm not going to sit on this show and be like, oh, woe is me, and it's not fair. Like, we need to go back to 48. Like, is there a thought to go back to 48? Yeah, probably. Would I be okay with it? Yeah, probably. But if we didn't go back to 48 for this year, and let's be clear, we are all on the same page, just this year, right? But if this year's NCAA meet goes off at 32, honestly, I will say, for the first time, I'm super duper proud of the track and field world in the collegiate ranks for actually erring on the side of common sense. Could 48 happen? Yes. Should 32 happen? Probably. And that's where I'm at.
Why would you think I wouldn't like that answer?
Because a lot of people don't like the answer when it seems contrary, but the truth of the matter is, because it's like, I'm not anti-track or anti-track coaches, but look, I'm a realist. Right? Like, 48 teams worth of people isn't like, look, where we're at is we have to manage our movements in order to make the next step in coming out of this pandemic, right? 48 teams of people traveling halfway across the country to all be in the same place for the better part of a week. There is no managing that.
And for me, okay, look, if this was something that the NCAA medical board came out and said, we need to revisit this, okay? That's a whole different conversation than someone starting a hashtag because they're afraid that their friends aren't going to make it.
Okay, can I pause there, please? Because I'm asking a serious question to Chu. Was it not reported exactly the way Lucious is putting it out? that the people who could review it were reviewing it.
Okay, well, regardless of how it was reported, I am telling you from very reliable sources that this was all started by the SAC committee.
Okay.
Not by,
that sounds right.
it wasn't the, there's no way you, first of all, we have to be smart enough to know there's no way the NCAA medical board is concerned about track and field right now. Don't kid yourself.
That's a fact.
No, you're smarter than that. We're all smarter than that. Right. So all I'm saying is this, okay, we deal with this all the time with reports, okay? Again, this is all based on the fear that people are going to be excluded from the championships this year. That's all it is. Hence the hashtag, because the NCAA medical board didn't start the hashtag. No, the NCAA competition committee is not starting the hashtag. This is starting by people who are afraid they're not going to make the meet. And I get that. But again, where's the willingness to sacrifice? Okay, this is a sacrifice we have to make for 1 year.
Okay, and so my final piece, my final question on this issue to the both of you, and I'm very serious about this.
Well, we can see that.
Are both of you honestly, with a straight face, gonna sit here and say to our audience that you see no chance, no possibility that when 32 happens this year, there will not be a group, who knows how big or small, but a group of people with influence pushing to keep it that way moving forward? Are you saying that is not remotely a possibility?
I'm not sure, but I am positive. I shouldn't say I'm not sure. I'm positive that neither one of us said that. Hold on a second, and let me finish answer your question. I'm not sure why that's a question, because we've already addressed numerous times on this show that there are people that have always wanted to cut the first round, either cut it completely or cut the size of it. So of course there's going to be a faction of people that want to do that.
Right.
I mean,
that's not the question I'm asking.
Can I answer the question?
But well, answer the question I'm asking you. The question that I'm
answering the question. Okay. Of course, whether it goes off successively or not, the same people that wanted to cut it before are going to cut it now. But my question to you is, why is everybody so concerned about it? Because that same people have been existing for the last 10, 15 years. So if they didn't win for 10, 15 years, why are they going to win now? Because they're still going to be outnumbered. Because there's somebody going to start another hashtag that says reinstate the 48.
So I'm going to give you a simple answer, very, very brief. It's going back to 48.
All right.
And I'm not outing anybody. I'm not giving any names. I'm just going to tell you this: it's going back to 48.
I've been saying that all along.
It's going to go back. It's going to go back to 48 because the NCAA. The NCAA is not. They're not going to give athletes money. So one thing they're just not going to do. They're not going to give in and give them the money that they deserve. So they're going to keep giving them like little jingling keys over here. You know, one of those things is participation.
Right, and that's
the number's going to go back to 48 because there's going to be 16 more people who will go to the national championship
per event.
Yes, per event.
So it's going to go back to 48.
Lamar and I talked about this for a long time. The whole thing with the regional was a sleight of hand trick, because we're going to give you another opportunity to get to the meet by having this meet. But what it did was increase the NCAA's participation numbers at the NCAA championships. So now we have this many more people at the meet. So it's going to go. They're not going to shoot themselves.
And without footing the bill, because they made another meet.
That's the sleight of hand of it.
The whole thing was a sleight of hand trick. I mean,
it was always
we had this discussion maybe the first or second year of the meet. You know, like I don't know. I was at George Mason. I don't know where you were, you know, at the time. But like you've been saying, Lamar's been saying that forever. You know.
If you take, we'll say, take the top 25 budgets, track and field budgets off the table, right? For everybody else, the regional meet was the most expensive meet on their schedule.
Oh yeah, sure.
Right. And so at the end of the day, and it was a meet the NCAA wasn't paying for. So they're like, okay, here's the magic trick. I'm going to get more participation and get positive press, and I'm not going to pay for it. Ta-da! That's what happened. And that's why I know, because presidents make these decisions, it's going back to 48.
And if you want 48 this year, you better go talk to your university presidents because they're going to make the final decision.
And I'm going to tell you this right now, they're not going to be concerned with anything you have to say about track because they're still trying to figure out that, look, guys, like we all know the NCAA and its moving pieces well enough to understand this. The NCAA just granted one-time transfer rules to sports that didn't have it before. Trust me when I tell you, they are not concerned with anything, and I mean anything that is involving track and field, because they got to deal with the fact that like 4,000 baseball players just hit the portal. Huh? They're not concerned with, because look, what does track have to complain about? Nothing in their minds, right? They don't make no money. They're on television for 4 days of the national meet. They got more people that participate at the national level than any other sport. Shut up. Like, no, is anybody going to give that real answer? No, but what I'm telling you is the truth. Facts. Write it down. Say I said it, because that's the truth. When the best basketball player at such and such school can now leave and go to such and such school in or out of conference and play immediately, and the best baseball player and this and that, and when that can happen, they're dealing with that because they don't have the manpower to handle that. Like the transfer portal has 4 times as many people in it now than it did like a month ago.
That is true.
So we're not concerned with making 32 become 48. I'm just saying, we're concerned with it. They're not.
Well, however you receive the words that have been said about the hashtag and where you sit on the fence, I think the most valuable piece that came out of that whole discussion and the exchange of words was what Sir Lucious said, is that the presidents are making this decision. And they're the ones who are in the conversation. They're the ones who are belly up to the table. So whether you are pushing for it or indifferent or whatever, that's the person you need to talk to. Whether they listen or not, whether they listen or not is up to them. But if you want to make your voice heard outside of Twitter, because there has been some response to the hashtag. There have been people who have responded who are on that committee. It's the Competition Oversight Committee who have responded to the hashtag. That's who you go on campus.
What did they say?
Well, so, okay. I don't remember who it was, but they said that they were on the side of, I don't remember the specific person. It was someone from the ASUN saying that they were on the side of going back up to 48, but they were just one voice. The biggest thing, the overall resonating words that were coming out were just, how are people having these large meets and not being taken into consideration as to holding the preliminary round?
My question is, who's having large meets?
And what I was going to say was,
I'm not saying they're not happening. I'm just not aware of them.
Yeah,
no, that's a bad comparison. Whoever said that publicly, that's obviously a bad comparison.
Oh,
that's
correct.
So I'm going to throw the petty coin out there. Florida relays were put in that conversation. So
13
I think that's
just people
teams.
not knowing. Yeah, that's just people just not knowing what they're talking about.
Yeah,
The meet is called the same thing, but it wasn't the same product.
There were 500 competitors, 500 and some change at Florida relays, and there were a little over 600 at Tom Jones. And that's only because we let post-collegiate in the meet. It's a 2-day competition, and it was never more than 500 people there at the same time. So whoever did that, bad comparison.
And I think that was what I think is the big thing. And they threw the Drake relays into that, and so we'll see how that operates. And because that's a visual, right? That's supposed to be televised on USA TV. You'll be able to see the biggest difference. And so, that's the biggest piece of the conversation per Twitter. And the absence of the 1,152 student athletes who aren't going to be able to have that opportunity to compete. So per Twitter, and so call it Wikipedia if you'd like, there was not a decision made, nor does it sound like that it was intended to have a vote made today. Rather, it discussed on the table. So it kind of, reading in between the lines for myself, and this is not for any conversation that I've had with an official or anything like that, it sounds as if that was put out there to make someone feel better about this meeting that was supposed to take place, that did take place today. I know that I saw personally that there was supposed to be a meeting outside of the NCAA building this morning or today to support the reinstatement of 48. I have not seen anything of it. I actually didn't go to work today, so I couldn't tell you if that happened. So I apologize. I thought I was going to be there, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm going to drive by the building because it's on my way to work." But I got a soundtrack.
You were supposed to be our insider. You were supposed to be out there with
No, you know what's funny though is I thought that I misread the tweet, and I thought the protest was happening. Call it a protest gathering. Was happening on a different day. So I intentionally drove by the building and I was like, oh, dang, I got to read better. But yeah, so, I'm glad. I will say this, and I'm the miniest on the totem pole. I'm the lowest, right? I'm glad to see that people came together for something and actually started to band together as a collective. I don't know that this will be something that you'll overcome. But if you can collectively come together on something like this needs to happen in other fashions for other things as well. That's my 2 cents on it. And not that it holds a whole bunch of weight, but that's what it is if everybody can come together on this hashtag, other issues that we are needing to address, that needs to happen as well. So,
I just want to say one thing so everybody understands, like, I am not anti-48.
Yeah.
And as long as this decision comes from the medical people and they think it's safe, then let's do it. But I'm just not as supportive of somebody starting a hashtag because they're afraid they're not going to make the meeting.
The only thing I want to say is this: like, look, I am happy to see that the track and field community collegiately has figured out how to come together and discuss and unite something. Why don't you talk about and discuss and fight for something that matters, like moving 12.6 and 18 to real numbers? Like, if you're going to come together and fight for something, fight for that.
Right?
Say that louder to the folks in the back.
Because I'm going to say this right now. Listen, the baseball community, they are not taking their 11.7 laying down. And trust and believe they're going to get that 11.7 moved. And they don't have anywhere near the grounds to stand on that men's track does at 12.6 or even women's track does at 18. Like, we only talk about men's track because basically it's the worst. But at the end of the day, there's 21 events and there's 18 scholarships on the women's side. You're still underserved. Just 12.6 is ridiculous, right? Like what a full scholarship male and what a full scholarship female look like are like night and day just because of scarcity of goods. So if you want to get together and start hashtags, let's start a hashtag about 12.6 and 18 being ridiculously low.
There's a lot wrong with track and field, folks.
I think we
a lot wrong with track and field, and hashtag reinstate 48. It's a catchy phrase, but there's a lot more things we could be fighting for. And again, I'm a firm believer it's going to be reinstated in the future. And I think that instead of us fighting about that, let's fight about the NCAA paying for the first round or something like that that's relevant, because I don't think that's relevant.
Let's fight for the fact that the average head coach of a combined program makes less money on their campus than the baseball coach on their campus who coaches one gender. I mean, there's plenty of things to fight about for track to move the needle. No offense, but 32 to 48 is like on the list, but not anywhere near the top of things I would fight for. Just saying.
Clyde, any closing words before we move on? Okay, I just want to make sure.
They think I disagree with them on things, and I really don't.
No, I don't think we disagree. Did you disagree on the I just think that you like there's always a little bit of a slant and a worry about a conspiracy behind the scenes here. And I get you, like, you are the champion of the little guy, and I love that about you sometimes. But, I just think that in this case, I don't think that this is a little guy issue in terms of why it was done. It was done because if we didn't create a path to show that we could do this safely, it wasn't going to happen. And then we got a real issue. But I think that the issue here for me is that they gave us a path and said we could take it, and everybody was fine with it when it said, "Hey, we're going to get the run now. We'll take the 32." But now it's getting close. The regional meets, or the first round, I'm sorry, the NCAA preliminary is now 4 weeks away.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, there's a hashtag.
I mean, part of what people don't understand, right, is that like the NCAA they're obtuse, man. They think they use one model and try to fit everything into it, right? Hello, folks. You know why the number is 32? Because there's two genders. 32 times what is times 2 is 64. How many teams go to the basketball tournament? 64 plus 4 play-ins, right? Like, this is a simple model for them. If you got 48 teams in one spot, that's 96 teams. In their minds, it's just not, it's an untenable thing coming out of a pandemic.
See, that's a little bit of conspiracy on your part too there, so.
I mean, it's not a conspiracy.
Because again, this was asked for by the university presidents. It was given by the NCAA medical board. The NCAA was just took what they were told to do and did it.
No, for sure. I'm not saying it's a conspiracy. I'm saying the numbers make sense to them. And honestly, the numbers made sense when they made them.
They made sense to everybody until it came time they realized it was going to be tough to make 32.
Lucious, I think you'll appreciate this, especially since you know me well enough. On these type of issues, it's not conspiracy. I'm not a conspiracy guy. I just have a lot less faith in people than you.
Okay.
Got it. Well, with that being said, let's talk about something that is definitely worth fighting for on a larger spectrum and how it affected the athletic world. Yesterday, being Tuesday, the day we're recording on Wednesday, we received the verdict on the Derek Chauvin case, and that he was found guilty on all 3 counts. There was justice served, and then there are events after the fact that took away some of those social justices. But comments, thoughts, effect on the athletic world, no effect. What do we got? Yes, sir. Thank you for raising your hand, Mr. Hawkins.
I'm gonna reread a tweet that I put out because it was heartfelt, and it is exactly how I felt within 60 seconds of the verdict. And it just says, as someone who was in California for the Rodney King and the OJ verdicts, today is what hope and change feel like. I pray that it does indeed spring eternal. And I said those words, and I still feel very strongly about those words. Look, some shoes you can't walk a mile in of somebody else's, right? Like, I have a great number of Caucasian friends and even other friends, right? I can't ever let them into my life to like what it feels like to be an African-American male in this country, right? But the best example I can give you is this. 10 minutes before that verdict, my timeline was being filled and bombarded with doubt and impending doom from almost every area of the country of African Americans who hoped for the best but assumed the worst. And I have a friend that coaches baseball in California, and he said there were helicopters circling the campus up to the verdict. And when the verdict came down, the helicopters dispersed, right? So at the end of the day, I guess for me, to give a simple answer and pass my time on to the other two, I think it's a shame that the whole sporting world was preparing to shut down because of riots, unrest, and really, 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 really painful scabs being ripped open again in the African-American community. But rather than look at it that way, I'm going to choose to look at it positively and say, hey, this is the first flower that bloomed in Chernobyl. And it's one flower, but I gotta be hopeful that it's not gonna die and we're gonna go back to Chernobyl. Like, I gotta be hopeful that there are gonna be more flowers that come from this. And one of my friends said, responded to the tweet and said, oh, look at you trying to be hopeful. Because honestly, guys, like, look, we only get one life, and we none of us are gonna live, none of us are gonna live through it, right? Like, we all finish the same way. So I just I refuse to steal a loss from the jaws of this victory. And how it affected sports is, for once, it let sports breathe and just be sports for a day. Because the NBA was going to stop games for like 4 days. Major League Baseball was going to stop games for like 2 days. Like, all this stuff came out right afterwards. Like, this is what was planned to happen. So, of course, if those things happen, right, MLS was going to stop. Like, everybody was going to stop. So I'm just happy for once, justice was served.
Lucious?
I mean, I just feel like they got the verdict right, and I'm just gonna be prayerful and hopeful that they get the punishment right, because it's not over.
Definitely not.
The verdict, the punishment needs to fit the crime. They got the verdicts right. Now let's hope the judge has done the proper punishment. That's all I got on it right now. Because if he doesn't, it's going to start all over again.
Indeed. Chu, did you want to say that?
No, go ahead.
What Lamar was talking about is obviously a very real thing. When the verdict came down, guilty, 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 my initial response was emotionless. I was extremely relieved to have been very, very, very wrong. I have felt the whole time that at the end of the day, it was going to come out a hung jury. That is what I felt like was the most likely outcome. Not because the case wasn't strong, not because the video wasn't clear, just because this is America. And I was very much fearing and saddened by the reality that if they got the verdicts wrong, that I was going to have to watch America burn again. And maybe in a way that we've never seen before. Because the fact of the matter is, because of the pandemic, because of our political climate, because of so many, many issues, there are just way more people paying attention this time. And, I get the anger and I get the pain. I'm a Black man in America too. But I've never understood some of the reactions. I don't want to see my community burn when we're upset about injustice. That doesn't move us forward. And I really, really didn't want to have to watch and deal with and worry if my family members were going to be out there in the middle of that. If the kids on my team were going to be out in downtown Oakland participating or putting themselves at risk in that. I didn't want to have to concern myself with those kind of worries. So I've never been so relieved to have been so wrong. And, I am grateful to the 12 human beings that looked at the evidence, didn't care who was on the trial, and just made the obvious and right decision. It's going to be a stressful 8 weeks because that's how long we have to wait to find out the actual verdict. But it was very satisfying to watch the video of Derek Chauvin, convicted murderer, being placed in handcuffs and walked out the back. And for me, you know, I thought, you know, probably the most eloquent words that I've heard since the verdict actually came from the man primarily responsible for the verdict, which is Keith Ellison. Keith Ellison said, "This isn't justice, but it is accountability." And he's right about that. And so accountability feels like not nearly enough, but it's a step in the right direction. And as I've told a lot of my colleagues and a lot of my friends over the past day and a half or whatever it is, like, just take a moment and be happy with what happened, because it could have been so much incredibly worse. So be grateful for this moment, and hope, if you're a person that likes to be optimistic, hope that this gets some momentum moving in the right direction. And the only other thing that I honestly literally have felt ever since the verdict came down is, again, thankful that not only did we get the verdict right, but thankful that America got the election right, because I wanted no part of having to deal with what it would have had to feel like to get that verdict under the previous administration. So Merrick Garland, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Keith Ellison, I'm good. I'll take it. I didn't have to watch America and my community burn.
Amen to that. We will now shift gears. We definitely wanted to acknowledge that and the history making that potentially could be. So we would be remiss if we did not acknowledge those things. So we will move on to rapid fire. 2 shots, not 2 chains. You're on the seat, sir.
Oh, let's get it.
I hope you stretched. Little warm up for you there. Oh, we're flipping hats again. We're flipping hats. I don't think we've seen that for a while, so I don't
Ready.
even know what that is. Okay.
That is the Statue of Liberty on the front of my New York Rangers jersey.
I understand. I know who that was.
You just said you didn't know what it was.
What the raising of their jersey was for. That's what I was talking about.
Because I'm ready.
All right. Anyways, stop. Are we ready, sir, to answer some questions?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I apologize. I prompted you to say that. And I apologize, being the host of this communication. We'll say, happy belated birthday to you, sir. We did not wish you birthday wishes last week. You know, we're officially in the 5th decade, in the 5th
Yes,
of life for you. So
I'm well into the 5th decade now, right? Officially, right?
Officially, you're in the box. You're not just out on the outside. You're not towing the line. So
AARP.
I definitely got about 60 different texts or emails with some level of AARP mention.
That's hilarious. I love it. I love it. All right. So I'll make sure to enunciate, speak loud, and speak slow for you, sir.
Oh, we got jokes. We got jokes. Okay.
All right. So hopefully you can remember this far back.
Oh my gosh. Wow. The age jokes. Okay.
What was worse, the 1,500 meter race or the decathlon itself?
Oh, definitely the 1,500.
Remember
Actually, you know what's worse than that? What's worse is the 30 minutes or whatever between the javelin and the start of the 1,500. That's actually the worst. The race sucks, but it doesn't suck that bad.
I mean, if you run it fast enough, it's under 5, right? Just get it over with.
Sure. Sounds
I'm
great.
just kidding. I'm just kidding.
I definitely did that like 4 times in my whole life. So
Remember the Titans or Blindside?
I'm going to go with Blindside.
Got it.
Oceanal round.
Right? That's the 51-year-old. Just kidding.
No, just The Blind Side's a better movie.
I'm just kidding. Meat attire, jeans or khakis?
Ooh, that really depends on where the meet is. I'll say more oftentimes than not, the more important the meets, the more likely I will have khakis. The less important the meet, the more likely I'll have on jeans.
Word. I think we all feel that. Kind of depends on who your audience is, right?
That's just honesty. Yeah.
Skittles or Starbursts?
Skittles. 365 days of the year.
Oh my gosh. Carrie Underwood or Kelly Clarkson?
Oh, you got jokes. You know the answer. Kelly Clarkson. She's amazing.
Bungee jumping or skydiving?
Ooh, listen, I'm going to go with skydiving. I've never done either and I will never do either, but I'm not trusting a man-made object. At least, the rubber band. Like, at least, I don't know why I feel like I got a better shot with a parachute. Maybe just because it takes longer. Like, I'm not bungee jumping ever. That's just not going to happen.
All right. Last but not least, snapback or a fitted hat?
Well,
not tonight, obviously.
That's neither.
I was like, well, fitted because, they're better. But listen, there are some moments that need a trucker hat. That's just what that is. Like, it's got to have mesh on the back and it's got to have the snapback. There are some things that hat is required, and they don't make a fitted hat that meets that particular thing. So, but fitted hats are better, no question, and they're definitely higher on the food chain.
I'll make sure to hashtag New Era or 57 so that they'll make you a fitted trucker hat for you. Maybe they'll hear.
No,
I'm just kidding. Well, sir, you have survived. You are out of the flames. Thank you for playing.
I appreciate
Hopefully you don't
it.
need too many ice baths after that one.
I appreciate it.
Is it stepping out on a limb to assume I'm the only person here that actually has been skydiving?
Yes.
Listen to me. Everybody should go skydiving.
Nope.
I understand what you're saying. I get it. Short story. I was manipulated into going skydiving a couple years ago. It was like a group of 30 people. Everybody's there. Everybody's rah-rah. Like, oh my God, this is going to be incredible, blah, blah, blah. I'm sitting there like, this is really stupid. We probably shouldn't do this.
That would for sure be me right there.
You know what I mean? Like, on the ground, I'm not panicking, but I'm the one like, this is really dumb. We could be doing other things with our time. When the plane took off, everybody was on dead silent, freaking out. And I'm like, nah, we on the plane now. Like, let's roll. Y'all tripping. You was talking all that nonsense on the ground. We up here now. When you jump out of the plane, it's amazing. And there's a viral Will Smith video where he's talking about his experience. And all I can tell you,
it's amazing. I've seen that. It's amazing.
He is not lying. That is exactly what it is. Like, everybody should experience skydiving. I'm with you. You're not strapping me to the rubber band. I'm not with that. If I want to commit suicide off the bridge, spare me the rubber band. But jump out the plane. It's amazing.
One, I feel like we've seen too many bungee snap with resistant drills to know that that's going to work.
That's exactly why I won't do it.
No, that's exactly why.
Exactly why I won't do it.
Two, I feel like if I skydive, I'm instantaneously peeing in my pants, like without any control. I'm serious. I feel like I will just pee in my pants. Like, there's no way that's not happening. Like, anybody tweet at me, DM me, whatever it is. If you skydive, confirm or deny that you've peed in your pants. I won't judge you because I guarantee you I will pee in my pants.
It is a blissful experience. Everybody goes skydiving.
Every time I've seen a video, every time I'm like, Like I literally just, everything comes up inside of me. Like, oh my gosh. I don't know. Anyhow, that was fun. Thank you so much. Sir Lucious or Clyde, do you have a rapid fire question or statement for two shots?
The answer for me to the whole bungee jumping, skydiving thing is absolutely neither, ever. But I really want to know, like in those moments when you're towing the line in a 1500 and you know it's got to be a big one, like what was your mindset? Like what was your what did you do to get yourself to like, I gotta get this messed up? Like what did you say to yourself?
All right. So in Sydney, and I'll try to keep this brief, but this is a great story because you know this person. So my roommate in Sydney was Mark Everett, right? And I think you know the village to track distance in Sydney. I'll explain it to everybody else, but it's, as the crow flies, it's probably not quite a mile, but as the bus goes and all that other stuff, it's probably like 8, right? Because you got to go, like, you can't get there from here kind of deal. Like you got to go out, go left, go out, go around this thing, right? Well, anyway, the pedestrian route is more similar to if you're walking, right? It's more similar to the bus route than the crow flies route. Anyway, so after the javelin, I'm underneath in the the little waiting area that they always have for decathletes, and the door busts open, and it's Mark. Mark has run from our room in the village to the stadium and somehow has managed to fandangle himself into the waiting area, right? The waiting room. You have to be a decathlete and have a special credential to do this. I don't know how he did it. Bus door open, right? Everybody's there. He can't breathe. Now, Mark's a world-class half miler, so clearly he was running way too fast for way too long, right? He's holding onto the door and he says from across the room, you gotta run. And I go, I know, dog. He goes, okay, turns around, runs out.
He risked security impoundment.
No, for sure, right? My coaches, 5 minutes before that, had come over and they're trying to give me the, Newt Rockney, your legacy, you got to do this, yada, 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 right? When they get over to me, I say to them, guys, look, save all that. I got to run, and I got to run faster than I ever have. And at the end of the day, that's all there is to it. And they look at each other, look at me, and they say, well, I guess he's got it. And they walk out. So I had 20-25 minutes of solitude to myself to just honestly harken back to every tough workout I've ever done, every tough scenario I've ever been in my entire life. And there's a lot of those, all the way back to the way you're raised in a place like Brooklyn and all those other things. And at the end of the day, I was like, listen, I'm not sure how this is going to go down, but the one thing I know is this: I'm going to get beat with my best. So long answer, but the truth is this: when we went out to the line, I think I was the most determined human being of the 40 that towed the line. I knew I could not come home and live with myself without a medal. So at the end of the day, it was kind of like Chuck was with the skydiving. I was like, look, I don't know what it's going to take. Whatever it's going to take, I got it in me.
Thank you.
And I think the first thing you think, when that happens, right? It's I wish I could have gone back and rerun all of them. Because I realized that most of the ones I ran really badly, they were all mental.
Hey, you need to stop that.
Yeah. Ain't nobody trying to run 1,500 meters.
And you weren't trying to rerun all of them either. So,
well, I said that was my first thought. Then I remembered that hurt a lot, and I was like, no, we'll just take what we got.
Ready to say you and a bunch of 1500s, that wasn't happening.
So there's only one way to follow up that story, and that is with a petty and hilarious question. So,
okay,
given the story that you just told, what was the was the Olympic final, that moment, running it harder than you ever had to run it, it is that booty lock worse than the punk out booty lock for somebody with an incredibly high ass?
I see we got jokes. No, and I think anybody will tell you, basically, the longer you run, the worse the booty lock is. So definitely slower is worse than faster.
And there is a training performance nugget in there for you folks and children. It's gonna hurt regardless.
Just go.
Oh, if it's longer than 200 meters, that's a fact. It's gonna hurt regardless.
In essence of talking about the 1500, shout out to Curtis Beach for what's it called? Retiring. Wow, that was horrible. Retiring this week. May you enjoy yourself, sir. Let's close out the show as always with our heartbeat props. I'll start tonight off by ending it the way we started it. Shout out to all of the administrators, professional administrators that help us function, or are appointed to help us function, let's say it that way, with our sports, and guide us and lead us and give us our what's that called? The walls within we operate. So thank you to you all. Specifically, thank you to the administrators at IUPUI right now. Bless you for fielding all my questions and looks from time to time. At least I own it. I own it.
Oh my gosh. I'll go next, if that's okay. My shout out is to the first person who ever identified me as a really good track athlete. First person to ever come to a track meet specifically to recruit me. And we used to jokingly call him, with Curious George, you had the man with the yellow hat, and he was the man in the yellow jacket. Because the first time he ever came to see me compete, this guy's like 6'4" and some change, like super thin. He was a high jumper back in the day. And he had on, I can say it no other way, he had on a canary yellow rain slicker for some ungodly reason, because it was like 85 degrees and sunny at the meet. But I don't know, maybe he was making an appearance. But he was my first college coach. He was one of my two coaches in Sydney. He's been a friend of mine for 30 years and an inspiration in a lot of ways. He does masters decathlons now, or has for a while. But my heartbeat props go out to one Mr. Noel Rubel. Great coach, far greater person. And he does not currently watch the show, but he will watch this one because I will make sure that he does.
I'm going to be simple, short, and concise. I just want to give a big heartbeat props to all the folks that brave the weather, the heat, the rain, for the officials that made sure that the Tom Jones and the Florida Liz went out without a hitch. We were shorthanded a little bit, but everybody pitched in and made it work. And hosting only 13 teams this year was really helpful.
See what you did.
You mean it wasn't a giant meet?
No.
Sorry, I'm being petty.
Well, so was I with the
I'm
comments.
gonna say he being petty. It's all good.
Yeah.
For the record.
Thank you for adding to the pettiness. So.
For the record, just for the people.
For the record.
For the people who struggle with math out there.
Yeah.
13 teams.
13.
As opposed to normal is
60 plus.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's been up to 70.
Yeah, and the thing, the 13 teams, like there were like 2 of those teams were partial teams, so they just brought their sprinters. So it wasn't that big of a meet.
Last but not least, Clyde.
Oh man, that's too funny. That should have been last.
He doesn't know what to do with himself. Like we played the petty card. He has no card left to play.
No. I'm not petty tonight. Honestly, my heartbeat props tonight are kind of a group. It goes out to Team AARP, aka Team TB, all the people that are on this journey with Miss Tiana and understand the full scope of what all she's enduring and what all she's putting together, and the grind that she has. Obviously, I was not in Gainesville. I have other responsibilities, but you know, I can only imagine what that moment felt like when she jumped well, ran well, after everything she's battling back through. And there's a whole lot of people that are a part of that, and they're all very, very important, and they know who they are. Not only is she battling back from injuries and near deaths and all of this other stuff, but she's writing a memoir all at the same time. And it's all culminating right now. So, you know, Survive in Advance is coming. Tea is coming. The merch is coming. And this is what you're going to see as the book cover. So, you know, I'm really, really proud of that woman, and what she's doing is incredible. And I'm honored to be a part of the team, and it's a fun ride to be on. So props to T and the entire crew and everybody that's a part of what she's trying to put together right now. It's fun. It's a privilege.
It's definitely awesome to watch. That's for sure.
Yes, it is.
All right. So as we wrap up, thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us again. Everyone out there in YouTube land, Gills Connections land, thank you for joining us for another fun episode. You know, season 2 is off and running, and, you know, we are happy to be introducing different things from other from than season 1. So have a great week ahead of you. To those who are competing championships this weekend, good luck to you. Best wishes, best marks and safety. Have a great week, and we'll see each other soon. Thanks, everyone.
Hey.
When the lights come on, the road just get to running. When the lights come on, opponents smash the plumbing. Heard you like it warm, hot, knife the butter. Truth pin them hard, knock them off that rebuttal. Tsunami, tidal wave to your puddle. Tough love, punch you in the arms, little brothers. Athletics LLC, there's no others. Track and field's place to appeal to go further. Hey, Wally, Coyote, it's road runners. Feels like you know us, you've been with us the whole summer. If not for this quarantine, these 4 corners wouldn't be here, but we here, so start learning. You gotta earn your stripes, gotta get your scars. Show you how to fight, but show us who you are. You lack experience, but still you wanna talk. And who is actually talking to you? Circle's kinda small. Heads prevail when the backbone's strong. Gotta keep it coming, no, it won't last long. Pass and fail, then sell the sad song. And if you don't check yourself, then that's wrong. Just trying to give you the real that you asked for. So why you keep cutting us off to ask more? We put it in slow-mo, but you fast forward. Athletics LLC, the task force.